Uh-oh.
Oh, it's a good segue because I was literally just about. $20 of them were unarmed at the time.
I I I I I can actually.
They're going to, they're going to do what they feel they have to do to protect themselves and their families. And by doing that, then they put themselves into additional harm's way. But it's this, it's the
So
mainstream media, it's the mainstream media's BS combined with the police, the police. And yeah, and there is, there's some bad cops out there that really do put put the alarm, really put the alarm on somebody. Um, I could remember like one of my friends that I was stationed with in Hawaii. He got stopped a couple of times by the same cop, and it was a Pacific Islander that did it, and he was just like, and he told him to get out of the car both times. It was for the first like, and it was very egregious, but it was like you could tell. And I never got pulled over. I never got pulled over when I was in Hawaii, and it was like I I don't. There's a lot. There's a lot of things that go on between your daily life and then getting pulled over. I get that. It's I could kind of, in a way, I could kind of see where there's a little bit of room for pause, but then I could also kind of see the bigger picture too. But
okay, so
mainstream media does, they don't help the situation at all.
No, no.
mhm.
Oh, go ahead, Donnie. You had a
Yeah, go ahead. You were saying something, Donnie?
They're okay, going back to black people deciding if they want to protect themselves and get firearms,
Yeah,
depending if they get them legally or illegally.
yeah,
Um, but I think that there's a group out there. I don't remember what they're called, but they're actually like, I guess, like Black NRA, like teaching black people about guns and
yeah,
teaching them about how it all works. I
yeah.
feel like that needs to be pushed a lot more too. I think that would
Absolutely,
help a lot because
one
there's
hundred
people
percent.
who there are people who are black who they hear bad things about guns all the time. They're in their box, they're in their democratic locations, and they see people committing crimes with guns all the time. It can also cause fear just looking at one, kind of like being scared of a dog for no reason. So
Look,
I feel like that education is being out there, and I wanted to see if Tina could chime in on it, maybe on the psychological part of that, of with how that works with guns in the black community. Maybe she has some input on that. Is her name? I'm saying Tina, right? Correct? Is
yep.
that right?
Well, T.
Uh,
Yeah, we're
T. Okay.
abbreviating her name.
Yeah, we're abbreviating her name. What about it, T?
Sorry, can you ask that again? I like tuned out.
Oh,
No, you're good. So we're talking about black people arming themselves and getting guns. And I know there's some organizations out there trying to push that and set up the education. But I also know that, with Black people being in cities and boxes, they hear about guns being bad all the time. Guns are scary. They see people committing crimes with guns all the time. Um, how do you think that we could get past that, psychologically, not me necessarily, but, as a Black community, to where they would push more, knowing that, hey, why are you trying to unarm me? This is my right. They know this is right. Like, what do you think?
Unfortunately, this answer is one way, but it's probably gonna be like a more of a long-term effects. Like, I think it first starts off with like the media needing to butt off like from people's like opinions.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen, but there also has to be a lot more like leaders, like another way, like more like a Black conservative leaders who's like very like pro gun, pro Second Amendment, and who can connect with like Black people in general, can, for example, like make a music video that is very like pro amendment and that can stick to like many people's like it can stick to people, the community. Another way is like if for example, if there's like a group of people and they've been personally impacted by a horrible crime and they had like no way to protect themselves, and then in the group of people there's like maybe like a guy with a gun that was able to like for example, like the church shooting back in Texas, like that really showed like, hey, if we had a gun we can make people. So if you have like personal incidents that happen to you, that's like another way of like realizing like, hey, maybe we do need to have like guns with us. Hey, maybe you shouldn't put that many restrictions on guns. So there's many ways, but it's more like long term. Some are like exceptions, such as like having leaders in the group. Overall, I just think like the media just needs to like back away from like people's opinions. So
I think what you're getting on is something you hear a lot, but it's sort of tossed around too much that it loses its meaning. But connecting with people is what it's about. Stories connect with people, personal stories, putting a face to it connects with people. That's what look. Rules for Radicals is written by a lefty, but his shit works. What Alinsky talks about in there is effective, and that's why it's used. One of the things he talks about is personalizing. You pick a target, personalize it, attack it, whatever that is. And he also talks about how, like, if you're going to fight for a certain cause, you need to personalize it in some way. And you see Republicans do that for legal immigration. They always bring up Kate Steinle. And that's why you hear these names attached to bills. Good story, even if it's anecdotal, it personalizes the issue, because just saying crime, it's a broad concept with no real visual, with no real emotion or connectedness to it. When you add a story to it, totally changes all that. And with having certain leaders in the Republican Party that are Black or other minority groups, that is effective, because if you're just sitting there. And look, I hate identity politics. I don't want to play it. But what you do need to do is have visual persuasion. If you have a bunch of old white guys and the Democrats are calling you all a bunch of old white guys racist, like, people are going to believe that they're racist because of the visual element of it. But if you have a bunch of Black people getting called racist and they're wearing MAGA hats, like, it's going to make the left look ridiculous. So you gotta use their tactics against them, and it will make them look like complete idiots.
Well, a lot of it is education too. Like ultimately, a lot of that is education as well. Like you just like some of these, like we have a couple of really good personalities. I'm gonna butcher this name, and I apologize in advance. Colin Noir.
Yeah, Coleon Noir. I was about ready to bring him up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But he's one of the most intelligent people I've ever heard when it comes to gun safety, gun legislation, gun rights, gun advocacy. Like I love, like he has a lot of YouTube stuff going on, and I love listening to all of it.
Well,
because he's that incredible. And then of course Antonia Okafor, she was on our show not too long ago. She's incredibly intelligent when it comes to the same stuff.
You need Marsh Ture too, like someone like Marsh Ture. Like I feel like he's definitely a Philly guy. I feel like if you put him in Philly, he'll like perfectly blend in with everything. He just like screams like Philly culture. So I
mean, but it's hard because you're going uphill, because like these, again, going back to the Democrat leadership, the Democrats are running all of these cities. They don't want you to have a gun. They do not want you to have a gun. They want you to be completely reliant on the government. And as we've been finding out with these freaking riots, that even with the best police force on earth, with the NYPD, with the wrong leadership, Bill de Blasio, I'm talking to you, the whole thing could be butchered. And so you really need to be able to protect yourself. And
speaking of Madge, I have a good story about him too. When I met him, not too far from Philly, actually, in my local town, he did like a little gun rally speech thing, and I was impressed by him. I'll say he's got talent. He's a good public speaker. He's solid. I think there's some room for improvement with him, which I can touch on later, just in sort of strategy. But him as an individual, he's fantastic. And one of the things he said when we were about to leave, and because we had lunch with my friends, and we were about to leave, and we said we're saying goodbye to him. And all my friends at this rally were white dudes dressed in polos, khakis, and sort of shit like that. And I didn't know there was a dress code, so I came in my black shorts, a Rolling Stones shirt, and sandals. And I didn't look like everybody else, and it was unintentional. And so Mash is looking at this, and Mash is dressed in like a t-shirt, and he's got this braided hair, and he's like, "You guys look, you guys need to learn some optics. You all are dressing like prep boys, but Shaggy over here is dressing like everybody else. He's relatable. He's got a t-shirt on, and look at those fucking sandals. Like, look at those things." Like, he kept talking about my sandals, which if you've seen them, people give me shit for them because they're functional, but they're unique looking, to put it mildly.
They've been well worn, right?
Yes, they have been. I've worn them many times, but what he was talking about was like, you need to look relatable. And that's what he was talking about, reflecting with himself. Like, if you're dressing up like some like a suit and you're going around not looking like everybody else, you're not really connecting with them. And that goes to the sort of identity aspect. If you have a bunch of white people telling black people what to do in the Republican Party, I mean, it's not that relatable. But if you see somebody that's from their community, that's of their ethnic group, that's maybe of their gender, like, it just connects more. And look, I hate identity politics. I don't want to play this game, but optics matter. And if you have people like Maj, he's going to connect more with those communities because it feels like it looks like you're up there. You can relate to it. Like, with Trump is really masterful at that because he can do that. He can cross all those boundaries. A woman can see themselves in him. A man can. A black person, a white person, et cetera, et cetera. And that's how it should be. Sometimes that's not how it always is because of how some Republicans screw up their optics. But that's my little optics side note. But I think that's important to consider.
Well, here's sort of playing devil's advocate with
Sure.
what was going on with that. I feel like the reason they chose to have that dress code was so they don't look like a bunch of like hicks, because that's what a lot of people perceive as the gun community. Now, what Mage said, Mr. Tor said,
Mage.
yeah, no, he's not like Mortal Warcraft.
You get your cock off my property, goddammit.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's what they want to avoid. They want to show that, hey, smart, people who are like, relatively high in society. It's not just like a redneck thing to have guns. But what Mr. Tor said is also equally valid. And I feel like, maybe different rallies would be nice if we had, different sorts of people to kind of bring that back into the mainstream to show that you're not all hicks and you also include black people. But kind of going back to the issues of the black community and the firearms, I feel that a lot of what we have going on here, it's, some of it is true, like it's caused by the Democrats not wanting you to have guns. And since, 9% of the population of black people in America live in the top 200 cities, and the top 200 cities have by far the most gun control out of anywhere, you're going to have that issue. But another issue, too, is like, just having these places to actually lawfully shoot firearms, it's pretty difficult, especially in those cities. Like even out where I'm at right now, they have all these gun clubs and they're all private. So like unless you know someone, it's hard to get in there. And some of these people, like it's hard to really even meet these people unless you know the right places, go in the right forums and get someone to go and vouch for you. And if you're like, let's say you're black and you want to get into that, and it's pretty much only white guys in there, it's going to be a little bit tough. Now, you might have someone who's like, oh, we need a token black guy, but that's, kind of screwed up when you think about it.
Yeah.
But I feel that, that's a problem that we as, people on the right can try to work to prevent. Need to open up these things more, not even just to the black community, but to a lot of younger people. Because whenever I try going to gun clubs, most people in there are 40 plus, and it's always just like weird being like a young guy at these places.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like when you're around people from, I'm gonna broadly use the term, your community, you connect with them, you have fun, you want to stick around. And a good, example of that is age. There are age communities like Zoomers. We have our own sort of sense of humor that's different from others. We're usually edgy, dark, ironic, trolly, whereas Boomers have a totally different sense of humor. They can still both.
You think you guys are edgy, but
Okay, Boomer.
But the millennials disagree anyway. Now continue.
Well, that's the thing too, is like you can have different styles of humor and still both like bounce off, be funny and have overlaps, but it's like each speak different languages in some ways, and that doesn't mean you can't talk to people of other groups or you can't relate to them. It's just easier.
I do want to point.
But y'all see that Trump doesn't do that. I noticed he doesn't pander.
True, and that's the balance. Is like you don't want to pander, but you don't want to be disconnected.
Yeah,
it's like Hillary Clinton doing the hot sauce shit. It's like that's total pandering. So it's like be yourself, but include other people from other groups to connect. And if you can connect with everyone, perfect. But if you can't, sometimes you need help.
Hey, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Does Twitter still do that racist thing with Donald Trump?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you search on Twitter racist, the very first thing that comes up is Trump's Twitter account.
Right here. Yeah, so we're going to do it. Go on the Twitter page, right?
We'll do it live.
Yeah, we'll do it live. So yeah, go on the Twitter page and on the search, type in the word racist. Right, and then once you type it in, hit enter, and then click on people.
Fuck, I can't spell racist.
You can't spell racist, so therefore you can't be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh
boy, it's still up there. Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
But by the way, I should have mentioned when I first came on. We're also live streaming on my channel and on D Live as well.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
And Alan in my chat says, when I see a gun, I am the opposite of scared. So.
Dude, after the shit that's happened over the past few weeks, yeah, I love guns even more.
Well,
really I think a lot of people are changing their minds. Like not even just like the black community, but people in general. Like people are buying guns now. Like we never thought about really buying one before.
Exactly. I mean, this has destroyed so many Democratic arguments.
Yeah, it's actually backlash on them with that.
Have you noticed any changes, like personally, or like on Twitter or anywhere? Like, what have you been seeing?
Like people's comments on what's going on with riots.
Yeah.
I've seen a few things. Like I pointed out that there's a rapper named Trina who was saying that she did not like about people messing up people's businesses, rioting. She said that's not right. You're destroying your own home. She got attacked for it. I didn't see it yet, but I did see that. I heard that she apologized. And this apologizing is so frustrating. You might as well just not have said anything at all if you're going to apologize.
I totally
Well,
agree. I'm glad you brought that up because a big person that apologized recently was Drew Brees. You know, famous football player, one of the best quarterbacks, made this comment about basically like, "Hey, I really don't think I like these people." Basically saying, "I don't really like people that disrespect our flag." He said absolutely nothing wrong. Drew Brees did nothing wrong. And when I read his thing, I'm like, he better not fucking apologize. What did he do? He apologized. I mean,
Yep.
this crap just, my
oh,
God, it annoys me. Like, it's so spineless. It is really irritating because look, and people on Twitter were like, "Oh, you know," because these sort of more hardline people are like, "Never compromise on anything ever," and I'm like, this isn't compromising. This is bending the knee to a mob.
Yeah.
Like, if you're working on an issue and you get something and they get something, but you get maybe the bigger part of the deal here, and you win in the end, that's a great compromise. But if you're just apologizing for shit you said and you didn't say anything wrong, apologizing for doing nothing wrong, like that is just it's gotta stop. It's so pathetic.
And then that guy, Steven, the ex basketball player, he came out video
Oh,
cussing him
Jesus.
out. And that really made me upset. And then he's sitting there talking about, oh, well, your white players need to get in line. And I'm thinking, if the NBA and NFL, if they believe these things, then where is it there's equality in the workplace? You can't flip flop racism. That's not how it should work. And then I will never, ever, ever support either of them if I possibly can. Like if a commercial's coming on or something, I'll turn it off. Like I'm not supporting that.
I
That's
mean,
good.
he's not. It's not. He's a celebrity. And we're talking about this. We've been talking about all these celebrities that are,
Hey, I want to
falling in line.
But I'm gonna say this first. He's a celebrity, but I've never heard of him until the whole George situation.
No,
No.
he's okay. Do you remember the Malice at the Palace? The with Ron Artest, where he went. They
No.
went. These
Yeah,
those,
yeah, I
those
do.
basketball players. Those basketball players went into the stands and started beating up the fans or whatever.
Wait, when did this
Oh.
happen?
This happened years ago, but I guess
How many
somebody threw
years we
water.
talking?
Yeah, quite a bit. Quite a bit. I think it was the Pacers and the Pistons or something
I
like
think
that.
I think 15 or something. It was a while
Yeah.
ago.
So
okay, yeah, that's why I
Steven
had no clue what
Jackson
that
was one of those players that went into the stands to fight with the fans. Right? He ended up getting
I only
suspended
hear
for like
about
half a season for that.
it.
So yeah, he's a but he's like a talk. He was like a talking head for FS1 or whatever, like one of those sports shows or something like that. Occasionally he's on there. It's like he's not it's not genuine. It really isn't. Like, I mean, it
No,
is
and
what it
I
is.
honestly, I'm gonna say this. Probably get a bunch of crap from it, but I've mentioned in my comment section, Kim and George looks identical. It's weird. That's all I'm gonna say.
Who looks identical? I think you cut out there a bit.
Steven looks like George.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying.
And then I asked a question today. I got some crap for it. I asked if it was if they had an open casket or not because I want we've been tricked before, with the Jesse's hoax. All these different little hoaxes going on. I'm kind of like I'm
Yeah.
skeptical because I've been lied to a lot here recently.
I don't blame you. I'm skeptical of everything. Like, I've always been skeptical of everything, but after like the shit I've seen recently, it's just like it's like super skeptical of everything, and there's nothing wrong with it. One thing I like to get your take on too is there's another famous individual that was the joined in solidarity with Black Lives Matter, and it's none other than, I'm not making this up, Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau went to a protest and kneeled in solidarity with Black Lives Matter. Let's wind the clocks back just, I don't know, a few months ago when Justin Trudeau was in controversy for blackface, for the Arab blackface, and then the actual like, it's comical seeing him kneel. Him of all
Look.
people kneel.
When they do something that pandering, when people like
that
that
is
pander
pandering.
when they pander that fucking hard, they're usually trying to hide some bullshit that they did in the past. Like
Yep.
they probably did some super fucked up shit in the past that they're trying like, oh, nothing to see here.
Yeah. And then the mayor of Virginia, no mayor, governor of Virginia. Which one was it?
Oh
You had the
yeah.
black people standing behind him.
Ralph Blackface.
Blackface.
No. He could
Yeah.
be in the Klan suit. We don't know.
But yeah, on that take, honestly,
I mean,
if
he's a
people-
Democrat, so it makes sense. But anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, but if people like really think that these people are genuine and they really believe them, at this point they're choosing to be ignorant. It is so obvious. It is so obvious what they're doing. And then Gretchen, I can't
Gretchen
think of any
Whitmer.
names right. The mayor of the governor of Georgia, and she's all the social distancing, and then she's on taking a photo with black people. And
Wait, that was the
hugging
governor.
them.
That's the governor of Michigan, Governor Whitner, the one that looks like a crazy person.
I mean, Whitmer.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like, ooh, she just looks crazy.
Oh yeah, she's like the definition of crazy. And
Oh, and I have a beef with that chick. See, I'm not that great with names yet. I can remember some of their names, but there's a chick who asked Trump about the unemployment rate for blacks going up like a percentage or something like that. And it's crazy that he asked this question right now, but when it was down, why didn't you ask him how the numbers went down? That's that whole being just all about attacking him. And when he waved her off, the black media is only playing that part, acting as if he doesn't care about black people.
I found a funny thing on Twitter from somebody that was replying to one of our comments about BLM. And they said, came across another view to consider. BLM could also stand for Black Lesbian Mayors. Muriel Bowser, DC, Donna Brazil, Lori Lightfoot, Chicago. Hey, they might, I don't know, I think they might be on some there.
Uh-oh, Sean, you're going to get banned off of YouTube for...
The ban hammer's coming.
And
Hey, I have nothing against lesbians, but I'm just saying that's an interesting comment.
So, a few interesting comments from my chat on Periscope, actually.
Wait, you're on Periscope too?
Yep, Periscope.
How many simulcasts are you doing? You're doing YouTube, D Live, and Periscope.
You guys have to teach me how.
How's your router not exploded yet?
Yeah, I know.
I'm using something called Restream, which does all of it. So I'll show it to you after words. I'll show it to you boys. So
yeah, well, we have to get to your subscriber level before we can use all like the cool toys. We're still at our little mere 193 subscribers.
Hey, you're making progress though. Anyway, though, a couple comments. Castro's son Trudeau. Don't forget that.
Yeah, true.
Funny comment here on Periscope. Michigan Devil Lady wouldn't let people buy flags or seeds. That's also true. So.
Oh, speaking of governors, Governor Wolf of our fabulous Pennsylvania, he got caught in a little bit of a pickle, which was hilarious. He was really hitting, and look, I think a lot of what he did initially was justified, not so much later, but he was locking down the whole state, keeping my county in red till just a few days ago on Friday. And Lancaster County Commissioner Josh Parsons started calling him out in a tweet because he was pointing out that Governor Wolf violated his own executive order on large gatherings by, attending a fucking Black Lives Matter protest. While still some counties are still locked down, and then there are these large gathering bans. And so the governor issued a statement at the news conference he had, and Governor Wolf said, that was inconsistent. I acknowledge that, but I was trying to show support for a cause, the eradication of racism, that I think is very, very important. I'm trying to show my support for that effort. And he went on to say that he's being extra cautious now and that he recognized he took a gamble but thought it was worth it for the cause. So he literally admits that it's okay if it's for the right cause. It's okay if I do it. It's okay if a
good for thee.
Democrat does it, or if it's for progressive reasons.
It's good for thee, but not for me.
Exactly. And that shit just annoys me. It's like, you lock all of us down, you lock all these businesses down, but it's okay if you go out and join a like protest over a total false narrative. So he literally admits that. But yeah. Oh boy, I'm watching 4 streams here: New York City, DC, Memphis, and Louisville. It's a little slow stream here. Like the internet's getting real funny, but it looks like New York City has some fires burning. I think maybe not. No, but New York.
Yee.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, when is this gonna end? Actually, like when is this actually going to end? Is it just gonna flame out eventually?
After November 3rd. November 3rd.
No,
Yeah,
November
that's
3rd they're gonna
true.
come back with a vengeance till the inauguration.
Yeah. Especially the liberal women too. You'll get the liberal women doing their freaking weird protests or whatever.
Well, see, I'm trying to figure out if these lefties, like, the day of when the election happens and our great God Emperor wins again, will they protest the next day, or will they be like, I can't get out of bed, it's so awful, we've reelected Hitler?
Well, see, and that's the big question, and that's actually something that Tim Pool brought up today in his video.
Did he really?
Tim
Was it the same one with Steven Crowder?
No. Tim Pool, when he does videos on his channel, it's mostly just him reviewing the news. But
He's talking about buying a gun for the first time on Crowder.
Well,
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet. But today, probably at like or yesterday technically, here on the East Coast, Tim Pool was talking in his video about how Trump basically has been vindicated on a lot of this stuff by thank you to Timothy Wiseman for subscribing, by the way, to the Whitfield report. But anyway, like I was saying, Tim Pool was basically saying in his video today, when are these protests going to end? Because, like, usually with the COVID protests and whatnot, like, people go out and protest, and like it seems like the COVID protesters, like, obviously they know that as soon as the quarantine is going to get lifted, then they'll be done with protesting. But with all these, like, Black Lives Matter riots, like, there doesn't seem to be an end date or really an end goal with the riots. They just seem to want to. I mean, I know I'm butchering Tim's basically what he said, but that's kind of what he said. It seems like some of these protests seem like more organized to have like an end date, Whereas,
well,
like,
that's what I was thinking too. Was that number one? Once people go, I think this is gonna die now. But number two is, what is the end game of all this? Like, honestly, because I think we're all in agreement here that a lot of this is professionally organized. There's a lot of professional provocateurs starting shit. There's a lot of strings being pulled for bigger goals here. But what is the goal? Is it to hurt Trump? Is it to create racial divisions? Is it to help Biden? I mean, that was what I think. Actually, what I was thinking today was, after Biden's "You Ain't Black" statement, I think even before that, I think the Democrats were getting really worried about losing Biden's black support, which is kind of critical for him to even have a chance of winning. I think they're afraid it's slipping. Not like completely going away, but enough of it slipping. And maybe that's what this is about, is trying to rally Black America under Biden.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that it has to do with attacking, making Trump look bad, and I think it has to do with helping Biden. The reason why I believe that, I think Steven said that in his recent video he posted attacking Breeze, and he said that no, not that one. The first one I posted from earlier, talking about, he was telling Trump to keep Georgia's name out of his mouth. He was saying that Trump will not be in office on November 3rd. Look what him and George have done. Look at all these countries coming together around the world to protest. This is about Trump, and this is about getting him out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I mean, this is what baffles me too. It's like people forgot really quickly that uh, Trump was the one who got all those, uh, that got all those criminals on drug possessions and whatnot released, early and got them like new trials and whatnot. When him and Kim Kardashian and Kanye, like that was
And
Trump.
Tim Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And those things are so, again, like that's a just, I remember his Super Bowl ad with Elise Marie Johnson. It didn't show any Trump till the very end where he had to. It was just about her. And I think Republicans have finally done a seismic shift here. I said this in another chat, actually. Democrats have been taking the black vote for granted, and Republicans have been neglecting it until Trump. They're trying really hard to get the black vote. It's really clear. And these actions, while they're coming from good intentions, there's also political implications too. I think where they see the potential is that people are going to feel this. When you see how many people are getting released, getting a second chance life through criminal justice reform, it'll be interesting to see. Will they vote Democrat, or will they remember who let them free and vote for that man again? I hope they remember.
I think they will, because they've held conferences in the White House. I think they'll remember. They've gone on video. They've done interviews with people like David Harris Jr. And they've talked to him. They praise Trump. They thank him. And I think that their families will remember it was Trump. Also, it helps too that they've had the conventions discussing it.
Hey, Donnie, I have a question, and I've been curious about this for a while. But
I might have an answer.
well, so do black people in general know who, like, Candace Owens and like Colion Noir, and I can't remember the name of the guy you just mentioned. Oh, David Harris. Do people in the black community like generally like know them or recognize them,
Mm.
or is it more or is it more like conservative? Because like the argument that I've heard a lot is that, well, it's good that we have black conservatives, but they tend to get like a lot more attention from white conservatives mostly, and like that's not, I'm not being like critical or or anything like that. I'm just wondering.
I will say, if these people have been attacked by the mainstream media, they know who they are. Now, I don't believe that David has been attacked by mainstream media like Candace Owens has. So I actually had a conversation with my sister today about the whole Candace Owens recent situation, and she said, "Oh yeah, I heard about Candace Owens. She's never seen her before. By the way, my sister's not really into politics, but
Mm-hmm.
she's a conservative."
Mm.
I did good. I did good. Okay, but
Yeah, good.
but
She's a younger sister, right?
yeah, she's not even 21 yet. She'll be 21 this year.
Okay, good.
So she's hearing these things about Candace Owens, and she just doesn't, she's just what she's hearing. So today, I actually showed her that 17-minute long video. She's, oh, that's what she looks like. So she's never seen her before. and she listens to it, and I'm watching her facial expressions, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, she's absolutely right." Uh-huh. And it wasn't that my sister agreed with what people were saying. It's just the fact that this information is going around, and these people who are spreading the information also didn't watch the video.
Yeah.
So, do they know these people? Yes, but they've been, treated as if they're bad. And Candace Owens was on stage with T.I. and them. P. Diddy had them on stage talking. So the community knows who Candace is, but she's painted as a bad guy. But I went and read those comments that was on YouTube after the video, and a lot of people were actually saying good things about what Candace said. Well, she has a point. Why didn't you let her speak? Why are you talking over her? Like, I saw way more of those comments than I thought I was seeing. I think that that's a silent majority, actually seeing her and waking up.
Because that's going to be the real key. As much as I hate to say it, we can't just keep saying, "Oh, we need more black conservative leaders. We need more black conservative leaders." I mean, we do, but that's not enough until the actual black population overwhelmingly decides to say "F you" to what President Johnson said 50 years ago about them, which is so vulgar that I can't really repeat. Otherwise, I really will get us banned off of YouTube. So
yeah, it's true. So the big problem is the big picture. Like I made an example with my sister earlier. Black people are in a box, right? They have a lot of information thrown at them in this box, and they most likely grew up in the city, so they're in this box, and they feel like this is everything. And then when someone else tries to come in to this box and say something, demons or monsters or someone who's trying to hurt you or mess with your brain. So black people have to choose to think outside the box, go out and explore, get this new knowledge, and get more information outside of the box that they're in. Because, as I said before, you got all these celebrities and athletes telling you what to think. And this, it's not just they're not just doing it with black people, but they're really, really doing it with black people. And the whole Black Lives Matter movement. My big issue too is, how can you say Black Lives Matter and in the same token you have rappers and people saying snitches get stitches? How does that correlate together? So you have to get outside the box to realize that doesn't make sense. You got to go and get that knowledge. When you're trying to start a business, I'm going to say everywhere else because my white friends do support me. But whenever you want to start a little business adventure, everyone come check it out. Like my business page on Facebook. 5 people probably do it. I stepped out of that. I didn't tell my friends on Facebook or Instagram that I started Twitter. That is completely organic. Everyone who's supporting me wanted to, and they don't know me personally.
And I think what to talk about, kind of piggyback on what Sam's saying, is that the one black, I guess we could call him a leader, that the black community knows, and all communities, is Kanye. And when I don't like rap, I don't follow rap, but when Kanye was making these bold statements on Twitter with just simple things like, I like the way Candace owns things, and putting the MAGA hat on, I became the biggest Kanye fan overnight. I still don't listen to his music really that often at all, but I became a fan of what he was doing in terms of free thinking. I'm not a fan of his music, but I'm a fan of what he's doing to connect with people. And like seeing now the religious chapter he's going into with his music, it fascinated me. It really, because I've never seen somebody who's a cultural figure like him that can effectively sort of pace what the black community's thinking and then lead them to a better place, which is what everybody's trying to do, is persuade, but he's doing it effectively. He's like, look, guys, I love this line he said in the Oval Office, and because this is the perfect way to think, and this is what the Democrats are afraid of. When talking about the systematic racism, he said, look, I get it, guys. You know, there's systematic racism, but don't let it stop you. That's an invisible wall. Don't let it stop you. Don't let that take you down. It's an invisible wall. That's what we said. And that's the perfect way to think about it. It's like, okay, let's say there is racism. Is that an excuse to quit? Is that an excuse to say, oh, can't get the job then? Or, oh, can't get into college then? No, that is what the Democrats want you to think, and that's how they keep you in line and keep you down. And when he says powerful stuff like that, we'll see that sort of stuff. Because he transcends politics, because he's a cultural figure. And that's what people care about. They care about music. He has a massive following of, a lot of Americans. And when he's saying the stuff he's saying, one of, if not the biggest rapper right now, saying that is just like, it's earth shattering. I remember when I would see those tweets with the MAGA hat, meeting with President Trump, meeting with Candace. I'm like, this is a big deal. And if there's anyone that's going to really make a mark, it's him.
It's historical.
Yeah. Like, there's never been anything like it, too. Like, maybe in the 30s, you'd have these, like, Hollywood people like Jimmy Stewart that were proud Republicans, but in the past 30, 40 years, like, Ronald Reagan's, like, the only thing that comes to mind. Yeah, Clint Eastwood's Republican, but, like, somebody that's trying to connect with minorities, or I guess you could say Republican causes, is unheard of.
Well,
And it seems like it was self-motivated too.
Yeah, that's the key thing, is it's genuine, it's authentic, it's not phony.
And he knew he would get crucified for doing it. He knew he would make a lot of people mad.
And he did.
And he still did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I gotta give the guy props. Like, he's something else.
well, I mean, even in Clint Eastwood's defense, there was like a big uproar, when he, back in 2012, when he criticized, Obama and did the whole, chair thing. So, like, yeah, I mean, I get that he's an old guy, and whatnot, but also, it was also kind of shocking because, Clint Eastwood, and maybe this is just me because he's, maybe he's one of my favorite actors all time, but, he's largely considered a legend by, mostly everyone. And so a lot of people, like, yeah, even though he's old, like, people were like, oh my God, I can't believe that Clint Eastwood, film legend I grew up with, is criticizing, Obama. So,
it didn't really surprise me, and I remember when he did that vividly at the RNC convention. But he was always the tough guy. Like, look, he's dirty hair. He was the guy that was like, I'm not gonna let the law stop me. I'm gonna get the job done.
No,
Wait, was he the guy with the chair argument?
Yeah.
Which people missed the fact that was a whole. I mean, people were like, "Oh my God, he's going senile." Which, I mean, yeah, now he is because he's 90. But, like, and
he's supporting Bloomberg for a short bit there.
People didn't understand the fact that was like a bit that he was doing as like an actor. So
it was clearly a bit. Like, I mean, to me, it's like, that's the thing, is the left just doesn't laugh anymore. They don't get humor. And I was like, you could find that not funny or whatever, but at least you can tell the intention is to be funny or for it to be lighthearted.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could probably, relate to them that feeling. Like, I had that feeling when I first saw that video of Dwayne Johnson having a conversation with Saturday Night Live, I think, one of those late night shows, and they asked him about becoming president, and he criticized Trump. I already didn't like him anymore, but I really didn't like him anymore after that. And then I saw his speech he did a few days ago, accusing Trump of going to war against Americans. That's a very dangerous lie, and you're huge.
I thought that Dwayne Johnson was a Republican the last time I read.
I thought he was too, but he could be a never Trumper. But
good point.
But if he wants to run for president this time around, he can't. I mean, Trump's the Republican, so
Well, he's got it. Well, you got to go figure. He has a show on NBC. He has a show on HBO, and he's doing movies. Like he's got, he's got to toe the line. Like he's got to toe that company line if he's trying to keep making that money.
But
To be fair, how much of them are running right now due to that corona? So this was perfect time to be campaigning.
yeah,
Well-
I think that's what he's doing. Like kind of like how they used to ask Trump about him running for president. I think they're saying with the Republicans, he's going to get the same treatment that Trump has.
Well, yeah, I guess if someone talks shit on him, he'll just give him a pile driver or something.
well, I have to ask, at what point in Hollywood do you have enough money that you can have like fuck you money and do what you? I mean,
that's the thing too.
That's
is
the
like,
$1 million question.
That's a good point because I've seen people that, like Drew Brees is a good example actually. I was just talking about this with my dad. Drew Brees is like had a fucking career. He's got millions. Why does he need to apologize? Like, isn't he set? Isn't he good? Doesn't he have the fuck you money? He might even have the fuck me money at that point, you know?
Yeah, well,
Money, you can never have enough. No matter
That's true.
like maybe if you have billions, that might be at that level, but like it always seems like like look at those houses. There's always something more you could have. You get multiple houses, you can get multiple supercars. It's one of those things, and that's the glory of our economic system. You can never quite have enough, and that's a fine thing. So it keeps you harder.
But here's the thing, though. Think about how they got to where they got to. Did the Democratic Party push them? Then they may feel like they owe them something. Maybe they do owe them something. So that's why they are the way they are.
and
It doesn't matter how much money they get. If the Democrats help push them, like the Democrats help push Cardi B, she can't turn against them. She's not a rapper. She's still a stripper. And they've been telling us this lie that she's a rapper all this time. But she can't turn against the Democratic Party. They're the ones who upraised her and lifted her and told everyone else that she's the queen of rap. And she doesn't write her own lyrics.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I gotta change the title of this video to Cardi B is not a rapper, she's still a stripper. That's the funniest thing I've heard.
All her videos and some of her performances, a lot of them, there's still a stripper pole in all of them. Money, stripper pole, she's stripping. That twerk video, stripper pole, stripping. Like, you're still stripping. You're just famous now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I'll be honest, like I have not watched a single one of her music videos or anything. I'm just like, oh, she's just another pop star that the industry's pushing now. That's the thing too, is like when we look at a lot of these pop artists, they're so inauthentic. They don't write their music, they don't do anything. They kind of just show up, sing a few words, and those are auto-tuned. Kanye's a totally different story. He writes, helps produce, and does everything. Yeah.
Well, it's
yeah, he's more dedicated to.
Well, Sean, it is interesting though, because I know you don't listen to Kanye's music, but it's actually worth listening to just to see like his evolution kind of how he of how he's done things, because like, back in the early to mid, 2000s or whenever he started, like he was like a very generic, at least to me, it seemed like he was a very kind of generic rapper, like talking out, getting hoes and having, bling and parties and all that stuff. But then like around like 20, really it was when he released Life of Pablo in 2016, when he really started to kind of change, like not just in his politics, but also in his lyrics. So
In
No,
the
I
music. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, you can go. Sorry.
Sorry. But say he jumped into the gospel for attention because they say he lost, popularity because of him supporting Trump. But the album before that one called Ye, I could already it was a lot of gospel, like people in the background. I feel like it was already transitioning into that. And I don't see why people didn't see that. If you're listening to his music, you would have realized in that Ye album that it kind of was getting that way. He was talking about his daughter and matter. And then he makes a gospel album. I think he's already transitioning that to that direction.
That
I've
was a
actually
really
heard
good one
people
too.
say
Jesus
that.
is King. That was a really good one. Like I was already a Kanye fan. I like a lot of Kanye stuff. And it was a really good album. It was a really good one.
I'll say like I paid more attention to his music when I heard about Jesus is King coming out, and I started like trying to listen to like his older stuff and like seeing, and I do see like you were saying, Sam, like a sort of evolution. I still don't really like his music, but I will say like, Jesus is King to me was the one. If I were like to pick to like dabble into more, I would go into that because it's interesting how he starts off as your sort of typical rapper,
Yeah.
and then Jesus is King is like gospel. It's using all these new sounds, and there's no cursing. I don't even think there's any really. I mean, I guess is there drug references? I don't even know if there's that. Like it's interesting how again, this is persuasion. You're pacing and leading. You're taking your audience from you're speaking their language, you're speaking the rap language, and then you're moving them to a new place of religion, tradition, family, in some ways republicanism and
Well,
conservatism, so many isms,
well,
and it's just that's how you do it. And I don't know if he knows what he's doing. He might, probably does, but it's killer.
Did you guys know what his first song that really made him like really pop? What was his first single? That was what? Here's Kanye. His first single.
Is I'll probably be dead wrong on this. Is it Power?
No,
Yeah, I thought I see. I don't know Kanye.
it's Jesus Walks. That was his first song that I ever heard. That's when he blew up.
Huh. That's interesting.
Interesting, right?
Come full circle.
Y'all have to listen to it later after this.
Yeah. Yep, now I got homework to do, and I'll gladly do it.
I will say that like, yeah, Kanye's had his like fair share of like gaffes, in the past, and like, mess ups, like,
Mhm.
like people always. And like the one thing I will say too is like he's willing to point out like hypocrisy in his. Like, I know a lot of Christians who who actually don't like Jesus as King because because like it's not Christian rap, or it's like, or they think it's hypocritical of Christians, but in reality, like, he's actually calling out the hypocritical Christians, who who might not be accepting of him, and it's interesting.
Mhm.
So.
It'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
what he does next. Like whatever his next album is. Like where does he go from here?
I I feel like he wants to run for president one day.
I do too. Like I'm
And
not
I
even
feel,
making.
yeah, and I think that Kim is kind of transforming too, like how she dresses to these certain events and everything. I think they're trying to transform their image as well. So I think he really will probably run for president. I don't know if he'll run after Trump. But I feel like if he waited till after the next president, he might have a better chance because people want to be able to trust him. They won't flip
Mhm.
flop.
Yeah, I think he needs a bit more time for sure. Uh, I I could see him doing it. I could see it more 8, 10, 15 years down the road.
Yes.
I mean, he's got to grow some more, and I think he needs a little something else. But he's got the charisma, he's got the name recognition, and more importantly, he's got the talent stack. Not just in music, which people know him for, but for his communication abilities, his persuasion, and his public speaking. One is when he said about his MAGA hat. He says it's like putting on a Superman cape. boom, the visual in your mind is a Superman cape. It's strong, it's powerful, it's connecting. That's the type of stuff people remember. Like, he uses the MAGA as empowerment, and he may be. He can only run as a Republican. I will say that it's the only way he can run. What breed of
Mhm.
Republicanism he's going to run as is what's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and also too, I think that a lot of people in America were very disappointed with Obama's administration, even though he was reelected. Um, that I think if there is another black president, it will be a Republican.
I agree.
Really?
Yes.
And I think too, like, it actually ties this all in. Is like a big part of Republican base is religion, the Christians, doing the Jesus is King and all this other stuff. I can help connect with them too. But I could definitely see the next black president being a Republican, or even a woman. It's
Yeah.
because the Republicans are better. At least now they're starting to get better at playing identity without playing it. The Democrats were like, "Oh, vote for me because I'm a woman. I'm Hillary Clinton. I'm a woman. It's my time." Whereas Republicans, I mean, we obviously don't like that sort of talk, and we'll play better, and we'll be like, "Hey, she's smart. She's great. She's fantastic. She got all these policies. She just happens to be a woman." You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that these people are working right now to be let these things know, like Ivanka Trump. Like if she ever decides to run for president, she has an amazing resume. She's internationally cares about women and women who actually really don't have rights in their countries. Like she's been building her resume. It's like silent, and people would vote for people like her or vote for a black person on that side because they know that these people actually have a record. They're not just telling them a lie or pandering to them. This is what I've done. Is it being publicly known now? No, because of the mainstream media. Or they would know all the good things that Ivanka Trump has done. I've actually heard about it word for mouth, and then I looked it up. That's how I found out about it.
Well,
Yeah.
I think unfortunately Ivanka is going to have trouble in the Republican base. She's the one who would have trouble in the Republican base because of Jared Kushner and because he's so liberal and like she's actually pretty liberal herself. She
But
didn't
didn't she switch?
she well I think she did kind of, but like I know like I mean I would vote for her personally, but like there are lots of Republicans I know who support Donald Trump but are really hesitant about her just because when it comes to like more like social policy and some of this stuff with Jared, they're like really on the fence about her. So
Oh,
I've heard the same
interesting.
thing
Because
too.
yeah.
I actually had a white man, Jonathan Bruto, my friend. He's actually the one who put me onto Ivanka Trump. So, and he's been putting a lot of people onto her. So I'm not. I don't know. I guess I've seen it different in the DFW area when it comes to her.
Well, what I think
Oh,
you're
by the way,
seeing actually
fun
is like a
fact:
split.
she has
Yeah.
she has a bigger following on Twitter than Don Jr.
Really?
Big difference. You can pull it up. It's a big difference.
Holy shit! I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Pro- probably probably a lot more guys just because she's
Gorgeous.
yeah, because she's gorgeous. And I
Yeah,
mean
she's hot.
there's no denying that either. Like it's funny on one of the subreddits, I can't remember which one, there were all sorts of, I have to admit, kind of mean memes going around about like Chelsea
Ivanka.
versus like Ivanka in 2028. So and like
I could see it happening, honestly.
all of the guys on the Reddit were like, I'm a Democrat, but come on, I would vote for Ivanka over Chelsea any day. So or something like that. So
Well, see, that's the thing. Actually, you're completely right, Donnie. I checked the stats, and Ivanka has almost 9 million followers on Twitter, and Don Jr. has 5. Ivanka's almost double of the
Double.
followers Don Jr. has, and Don Jr. is one we all hear about tweeting. Ivanka has game. She's good. But like Sam's saying, I think the problem she has is there is a split in the party. Some people like her, some people don't. I'm kind of indifferent. And the reason I say that is because I think she has liberal tendencies. They might go out of her. Jared maybe does too. But at the same time, I see a lot of people on the right like, oh, they need to go. They need to be out of the White House. I hate them. Get them out. Look, I really don't know what goes on behind the scenes. I really don't. I think a lot of people are reading and imagining things. And when you're in politics, the only people you can trust are family. And I think that's why Trump put him in there, is because he knows it's a swamp. I can't trust anyone. Let's get family in there. I don't blame him for doing it. But if he falls for their more liberal tendencies, that is a problem. But I really would like to know more about their liberal tendencies, because I've heard them pushing for like amnesty for illegals, and I heard that recently wasn't even true. Somebody said like Jared's pushing for amnesty before 2020 election, and
Yeah.
then a few days later here, oh, that's false. So I really don't know what's going on.
Well, and then also, like, a lot of the criticism I've noticed from the quote unquote right also comes from kind of the Wignat, sect too.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. You have to be careful with that because, like, from what I've heard, they did do a lot of interesting things. But you know, with the way that the White House is, you're not really too sure about that. You can't really be too sure. But from what I understand, those two, they've kind of fall in those more sort of liberal and elitist circles. So it's I don't know. It's not something that's really easy to see what's going on just because it's an opaque, screen that we have into the White House, and just because what the fuck's on my face?
I think that the conservative side should probably, I'm gonna be mean maybe right now and blunt. They should get over it. Have you seen how the Trump family has been treated? You really think that they're going to be aligned with the left? Like they accuse disgusting things about Trump and his daughters, and I cannot. I'm going to trust Ivanka Trump to be, especially if these same people have attacked her and said disgusting things about their family.
That's a good point, because I'm not completely sold on Jared and Ivanka, but I will say that's the problem I have with some people on the right with Trump himself. Whenever he does something that seems a little bit, not exactly what they want, they freak out. It's like the Syria strikes. It's like killing the Iranian
Look.
general Soleimani. They freak out and they're like, "Oh my God, World War III! Oh my God, war for Iran!" I'm like, guys, Trump doesn't want war. Have some trust. Trust Trump.
Trump has actually a lot of like he's got a lot of moderate tendencies. So odds are he's gonna piss everyone off. Like it's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna piss off conservatives. He's gonna piss off liberals. He's done again. That's who he is. He's not like anyone we've seen in a long time.
He's only made me mad one time.
When was that?
The red flag laws. When he was talking about something on his desk, he's gonna look at it, and I was like, no. And then, like, the thing is, I think he heard the no's and he listened, and I haven't say it anymore.
Yeah.
That's the thing too. A lot of the problems some people have, and I understand it, is when it's talk. You'll hear people like, "I don't like his tweets. I don't like when he's rude. I don't like this." And I'm like, I get it, but it's talk. Let's look at the action. And sometimes you need to push back on things he says. Sometimes you need to give him little feelers, and that's fine. Like, he listens to his base. He genuinely does.
well,
that's a good thing about the right, I think, is we're willing to sort of do constructive criticism when necessary.
Well, one of my biggest criticisms, I don't do this I don't do this a lot, but so just to give some of you guys who might not know me as well a point of reference, I've been podcasting since I was 14, so I have a lot of shows in my archive, and I was actually listening to one of my like really old shows from like 2012 after we lost after Romney lost, and one of my criticisms at the time was that Republicans did not know how to do messaging at all, and that was why we lost. And I still to this day think that is why we lost in 2012. Trump must have obviously he probably didn't hear me, but Trump probably realized the same thing, and so that's why he was so aggressive on Twitter, was he was directly messaging with people. And I think that's why the left also hates him so much, is because he doesn't use like PR firms or whatnot to talk to people. He goes
Yeah.
he goes directly to the source of the people, even if it is even if he is tweeting at like 3 a.m. in his bathrobe, like that's just how he is.
Don't we all?
So
I'm so
No,
happy
we
you brought that up.
We lost in
Because-
2012 because of Mitt fucking Romney.
I think he lost on purpose. I think they made a deal.
I think he just blew ass and couldn't win a
He had a
fucking
crush
thing
on-
to save
He had
his
a
life
crush on
outside of Utah.
I think that whole like baskets full of women or whatever that thing was, binders full of women. That was his deplorables moment. And
No, I will disagree, because what he did say was taken out of context, if I remember correctly. I think his bigger problem was really just his. First of all, he never fought back, no
Right.
personality, looked like a used car salesman. Like, it was the whole Romney, look that was bad.
well, and true too is like Obama was I think actually pretty decently popular after his first term.
Yeah, he was an incumbent. I mean, there's a lot of factors. I mean, like, it's like you hear that with Trump and Clinton a lot. People will go, this one thing is why Trump won. But it's really a lot of things, and when they're compiled together, it's powerful. And that's, the deal here with, like, Romney, too, is, like, sometimes there are one big things that can fuck up a presidency, like Bush's handling of Katrina. There's some things that can boost it, like Bush's handling of 9/11. So it's a lot of factors at play, and you never know what voters will die on a hill over. Like, I know people that won't vote for Trump now because he banned bump stocks, and I'm like, oh, get over it. Like, you don't like it, but what are you gonna do? Like Joe Biden and get Democrats in the Supreme Court? Yeah, it's great, fabulous. Say goodbye
Right.
to your Second Amendment.
Yep, but actually, that's why my little brother stopped supporting him.
See, I'm
It's not
telling
the
you.
same reason everyone else is though, but that's the reason why. And I explained to him like, but you want that guy in the office, the other guy.
Yeah.
But on the whole thing about the tweets, I want to point something out. I'm happy that you brought that up about the tweets with Trump, because I noticed when I was on Biden's page, tweet deck kept popping up
Mhm.
with the source.
It's
So I Googled it, and I was like, okay, so this basically is something the marketing can use, the marketing tool to help.
Mhm.
But there's more proof that Biden doesn't make his tweets. I actually made a comment under Biden's section. I went back through his page today. I don't see that anymore, because I went and double checked Trump's before I talk crap about him. And I didn't see any of that on Trump's tweets. I'm like, he's using his personal phone to make these tweets.
Yeah.
And I went to Biden's page today, and I don't see any tweet decks as a source anymore. They saw my tweet. I know.
He doesn't have the mental aptitude to make his own tweets.
No,
doesn't know how to
someone else is
use a
definitely writing
phone.
those tweets.
Actually, no. I take back what I said. I know he doesn't know how to use a phone, because they have video of him like trying to figure it out. He's like, "Oh, what's this fancy gadget here?"
Yes, good point. Yeah,
And
and it wasn't a flip phone.
Yeah. Yeah, he probably doesn't even know he's a flip.
Just,
I think Biden had a flip phone. He couldn't figure out how to use it. That's what,
Yeah, he's probably using
just
a.
tell him it's a little girl on the other side, and they'll fucking be able to operate it perfectly.
He'd be like, "Well, I'll figure it out. How hard can it be?" He is so just disconnected with the modern age, and like that's a good observation because I didn't even notice that all of his tweets were sound through TweetDeck, which is, I have TweetDeck on my computer, but I don't really use it. But it's basically a Twitter desktop app to, that a lot of businesses and companies will use because you can, sort of customize the look of your Twitter with a bunch of different feeds. Then you can have a bunch of people signed in at once. So he has a bunch of fucking staffers copying,
yeah.
pasting off the talking points and sending shit out.
Hmm.
And, it's so out of, especially after Trump, it's so out of touch. I mean, Obama was the first campaign to use social media, and then Trump's campaign revolutionized it by being not just connecting with voters, but the actual presidential candidate himself connecting with voters, which is huge. Again, going back to what we were talking about earlier about connecting with people, it's so critical. It's so important, and the authenticity is what's important.
And it's crazy too that I noticed that when I was doing a little research that Biden gets a lot of likes. Sometimes he gets more likes than Trump does. So I'm like, I think Twitter is
But,
inflaming his
I think
likes.
there's a lot of manipulation going on over there.
but,
Yes. And then I noticed actually Obama has more followers than Trump does on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I just don't believe
There's
that.
zero, there's zero way to verify if any of that shit is accurate either. So
I know
with
it's not
views,
completely accurate
on
with that.
YouTube, how the fuck, who the fuck is counting these things? Who's
Yeah.
verified? We don't
Yeah.
know. We're
I
trusting
noticed.
we're trusting these pansies up in Silicon Valley to make sure that everything is legit. We don't know.
And I agree. Because, I pulled up that thing with the analytics on my page today. And I think it's really important people look at it so that we can be more effective. We're already being censored and shadow banned, but at least when we can get the message out, what's the most effective? Look at the numbers. People finishing your videos. Are you just retweeting? Because you're just retweeting, that just basically helps the person you're retweeting, not really you. And like if you share your thoughts, like a retweet with a comment. So I was looking at all that, and then I realized they said my top follower was somebody who had I think 200 some thousand followers, and within this 28 days, I actually have somebody who followed me with 1.5 million followers. So it's like the numbers are off. Why?
A lot of it is there was either a video or website that does this. I forget, but it would break down big celebrities and how many of their followers, their millions of followers, are either fake accounts, bots, shit like that, and you'd be surprised how many were just so inflated. And it's not really, in some cases, it's really not the celebrities' fault, not even Twitter's full fault. I mean, they should always be banning these accounts more and getting rid of them, but a lot of it's just there are people that make programs that and I know Tim Pool did a video on this with his brother, because Reddit's really easy to manipulate, and his brother would create a software that would create a bunch of bots that would automatically create a Reddit account, your post or whatever, and that's it. And he could get something to the top of Reddit easily, with just literally just telling a program, "Hey, make this article be the number one thing on Reddit," and that's how things are manipulated. And you can have a bunch of left-wing activists do this, where they can get stuff artificially inflated, have false narratives perpetuated.
There's
Yes,
some real,
definitely. Especially if
there's
you're
some
only fact
real,
checking Trump.
there's some real Luca Magnotta going on. Anybody get that reference?
No,
So
sort of.
sort of.
Let's see if any of the,
please
let's see if any
explain.
of the Twitter crowd, or not a Twitter crowd. Let me see if any of these YouTube users get it.
Yeah, the comments. You guys were like quiet for a while. Did we scare you?
I've I've I had like some I had some moron in the in Periscope saying no one's watching you guys. So
Yeah, I mean,
got quite a few of them.
yeah. Well, see, it's actually we were getting pretty good traction a few days ago, like when the riots were really heating up, and now it's kind of starting to simmer down a bit. So people aren't. I mean, I personally haven't been as interested in the riots, so you
Okay,
know.
okay, fine. It was a "Don't fuck with cats" reference.
Oh, that Netflix show. Yeah.
Yeah, because the guy that killed the cats, right, online, he was making like fake accounts of himself, like to boost his shit up. Like that
Wow.
was yeah. Because he
See
was
the
trying to be a
problem.
star. He was trying to be a model and a star or something like that, but he's like really fucking weird. But that's what he did. He like created like fake accounts on like social media and shit.
See, the problem with all that is like, yeah, you're gonna get a lot of followers, but it's meaningless. Like that is not sustainable. Like it's not even cheating the system because it doesn't even sustain your channel. You have to build it with real people that give a shit about you, or else you're not gonna get views. You're not gonna get people sharing your stuff. It's just all gonna be fake. Like there's the key with YouTube really is retention. You know, you can get all the subscribers you want, all the views you want, but those people gotta come back. That's the important thing. If they're not coming back, you're not really building a following. You're just building numbers.
that's true under normal. I would say that's true under normal circumstances. And yeah, you're absolutely right. But the problem is now, as we've discussed multiple times in private and on air, is the fact that now like YouTube seems to be hiding even smaller channels from the sub feeds. So,
Yeah.
Well they're making deals with like they're changing their shit to like cater to like networks and shit like that now. Like they're
Yeah.
instead of like instead of having their old model, they actually made more advertising revenue with the old model, but their operating costs were much higher too. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to significantly lower the operating costs, even if it's lowering a little bit of the revenue as well. So that's like so they're catering to like all these, TV stations and all that stuff. Like it's gonna be yeah, the independent creators are gonna get shit on.
yeah,
Have you? Because you have a pretty decently large social media presence, Donnie. What have you noticed? Has Twitter been shadow banning you, hiding your stuff? Have you noticed like tweets sometimes don't get as much traction as they used to, or anything like that?
So I've been in a restricted Twitter jail 4 times since
Wow.
December when I started, and I don't have my email attached to it. So when this happens, all I get is look at the policies. Like I had no way of like figuring out why. And it's usually it's a following. I've messed up with the following policy, and then I didn't look too deep into it. People who follow me was sharing the policies, and like you haven't broken those policies, so they found a different reason to um restrict you. But I do notice that like I'll have my posts will be just fire, just the numbers are just spiraling, and then all of a sudden it just stopped.
Yeah.
It just stopped. Like that with me talking first. I posted that Biden video numerous times, but first this part, then that's when it blew up.
It's
Um,
yeah. It seems like when
and
something blows up, like no matter how much craft you put into it, no matter how much work you put into it, at the end of the day, it's just a lucky slip through the algorithm.
I think that's true. I think that's true, but I realized the videos of mine that or my posts are the ones where it's my face and I'm talking. I did have a post when I had screen recorded Trump, being an undercover at the hotel, and I went to sleep. Woke up the next day. I had 99 plus notifications. I was actually really afraid. Like I like who's attacking me, and I had a bunch of followers, and I was like, what happened? I actually do not know how that post blew up because I posted other things too, screen recorded things with Trump, and that went out. But now I realize, like, now I'm looking at the Twitter analytics and everything, that I noticed, like, if I really want to, like, get a message out, I have to put my face on camera and say it.
Yeah.
And then, like, even, like, just even replying to someone else's comment, you talking and saying it is more effective than you typing up a sentence.
That's a good point.
Yeah, well, that's why I think that's why podcasting and now video streaming has taken off. I mean, video streaming for me, it took a while to transition because, I mean, the nice thing about like audio podcasting in general is, you know, it's just you and GarageBand or, you know, whatever you use. It's not that high power, and, you know, if you need to like use the bathroom or whatever, you can just, you know, pause and come back to it. But the downside is, like, just with standard podcasts, you don't get that real-time interaction with the audience, whereas you do with the live streams. So
Yeah, because I mean, like the coolest thing, like I mean, so it's like, no, do it right now. Somebody in the chat just said, "Don't f with cats, Mister Amethyst." I can't pronounce it. Sorry. Yeah, don't fuck with cats. They will fuck you up badly. And what I just did there was
Luca
like,
Magnotta. All right, there we go.
yeah, exactly. That I'm gonna. What is that like French or something?
No, he was Canadian, and
Oh, there you
yeah,
go.
I think it was. There was some sort of French, like something like with him.
The point really is though is that, you know, when you say something in the channel live stream, I react to it live, and you get that connect. You know, and then when you do it with people you look up to or famous people, it's really cool. It gives you that feeling like, oh, they knows me. Oh, this is cool. Yeah, you don't get that with TV. You don't get that with movies. You don't get that with a lot of things. But with live stream, you do, and that's what makes it so cool. I mean, it's just cool. Like, there's no other way to put it.
Yeah, and like if you're famous and then you do that and you don't engage with your audience, you can kind of tell like how their fan base is compared to someone who actually engages and doesn't engage with their fans.
Exactly.
And I do know it gets harder to engage as you get bigger because you miss a lot of stuff. So I'm learning that myself, but you will miss a lot of stuff because of it. And I apologize to everyone in my inbox. I tried to avoid my inbox, and we still talk about this.
Yeah, I mean I've heard that from a bunch of people too, like even like super mega stars like Milo. Like I'll occasionally DM him some stuff in Telegram that yeah, and I only do it like when it's something I think he absolutely needs to see because I don't want to waste his time. But he somehow, and he says this, he's like, I read everything. I mean, I reply to everything, but I read everything. And I'm like, that's freaking impressive. And
very impressive.
Yeah,
yeah,
he's one of the, but he's one of the best. He's also one of the better journalists out there, like legitimate journalists, not like the mainstream media where you get this hot piece that's in front of the television, but somebody else is writing her shit.
Tommy, oh
yeah, like pretty much. If they're uber attractive and they're in front of a camera, odds are somebody else is right.
Except when it's Milo.
And except when it's Donnie.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very, very accurate.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like the first video I watched of you, Donnie, was the one where you were speaking in front of the camera. And I mean, screen recordings are cool and all, but like when you see somebody talking, there's something about where you feel like you have to listen, you know? And I think I told you before, if you keep doing that, like you could really blow up even bigger because what you were doing was really solid. And I'm not just saying that to praise you because you're on our show, but like genuinely, like I was like, wow, I'm surprised you don't have more
I was
followers.
on that actually, not gonna lie, that that actually motivated me to get on Snapchat earlier this
Oh yeah,
morning.
really.
Yeah, that
Well,
actually did. I was just saying.
I love it.
Yeah.
I use the
By the
same
way,
one every time too, and I don't want one that makes me look like a completely different person or anything. It just gives me eyelashes. Like
Eyelash.
that's
by the
enough.
way, by the way, speaking of the Snapchat, I'll just bring that up in here too. Like, what what the what the fuck is they're replacing like Minnesota's or Minneapolis is trying to get rid of the fucking police, and they're gonna replace them with peace officers. Like, what the fuck is a peace officer gonna do?
It's a
Like, you're gonna have
Jedi.
He's
yeah,
got-
no, you have two people. Like, say you have two people fighting at a bar over a chick, right? And yeah, like you're gonna call a peace officer to come in and
well,
split them up. Like, let's talk about this. Let's just have a mediation session and really go over it. Both of them are probably gonna beat her ass as a result.
well,
It's gonna fail, and then
well,
it's gonna show more that the Democrats are always wrong.
well, Phil, I saw that today, and you and I are probably both old enough to remember. Have you seen the movie Demolition Man?
Yeah.
I
With,
have, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Stallone.
okay, so yeah, so basically it's kind of like it's
It's a liberal utopia,
it's a future.
but
know,
it's
right?
actually a dystopia.
I would like to say it's a futuristic movie, but unfortunately, I think we're already there pretty much.
You might give it
Because
a few months.
yeah, give it a few more months and Taco Bell and Taco Bell will literally be the only restaurant around still. So hopefully we won't be using seashells. But anyway,
Yeah.
the police officers in that movie just that's what they are. They're peace officers. They don't know how to fight or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have
And,
weapons, shit like that.
And so when
Isn't the
Isn't it
whole
crazy?
thing's funny to me. The
And-
whole thing is
Yeah.
just fucking funny to me.
Yeah, didn't they have a movie about a security guard getting beat up on his little scooter? Like-
Paul Blart.
Yeah, like why would that? You think that would work? Y'all were just making fun of it in the movie.
Well, they're even saying there's a bunch of people now from Black Lives Matter. They're calling for, I think, banning police movies because they see it as police propaganda. And I'm like,
oh
the-
for
Didn't Legos get rid of the police toys?
they didn't get rid of it. They just, I forget what their statement on Twitter said, but they said something like that they were temporarily buying them for some reason.
I think they were just
oh my god.
for it. I don't know if they
What
were
was
like
that, Alex?
they're just taking down the ads. I think for them.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, they're taking down the ads, which,
They need-
look,
They need to be more like Jon Snow and not bend the knee.
exactly. We need a fucking Jon Snow.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I was trying to distinguish between is like a good leader like Jon Snow will compromise when necessary, but won't bend the fucking knee to a mob that doesn't care about you, that hates you, and has no goal in mind. Like I just saw Nuance Bro on Twitter talking about this when I was sitting here, and he's a great guy to follow, by the way. And he retweeted a video near me of these aerial shots of the Philly rally today, and it's just so many people at this thing, and he just goes, no goal, no end in what did he say? I found it. He says there's no goal, no end, just pure virtue signal and want to be part of something bigger than oneself while society has been locked down. And that's sums it up right there. And that's the thing, like that's what I'm trying to like figure out is like the people there have no goal here. But the people organizing this shit, what is their goal? That is something nobody's really talking about or really diving deep enough into to figure it out more, because a lot of simple things get thrown around, and we've thrown around our theories, but I really would like to know what's going on in the minds of these people behind the scenes.
I think they're trying to make us globalists, but like, why are all these other countries and stuff getting involved? Why are there Antifas in other countries?
It's
Yeah,
all
Like,
about the globalists and the Chaikovs.
and
See,
that's not a conspiracy theory. Like they just said some dude in Mexico. I'm assuming he was in Mexico because someone told me he was in Mexico on fire while he was on his bike.
mm-hmm.
yeah,
You
no,
know,
And the country.
Don't drink the water, it's making the frost.
yeah, and that's the thing is like, you would like when I see these protests in Paris and these protests in London, I'm like, they never did this over any of the other instances. Why now? Why they give a shit?
yeah, why, yeah,
Because they got that paycheck.
Yep.
yeah,
Hey.
Everybody
Tired.
and everybody else is giving Alex Jones shit. Yeah, he's more right than MSNBC.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, now grant you, okay, some of the stuff he says is completely fucking wild and left field, but every now and again he's like right. He's just right and next level right, and it's like,
Well, so here's the thing:
fuck.
if the MSN can get away with fucking up, so can Alex Jones.
Yeah.
He gets a complete free pass. I don't care if he fucks up. And if he like fucks up and corrects the record, obviously like that's what he needs to do. But like, this is where the right frustrates me. He's like they too much about how they look in the wrong ways. Like optics matter, but don't be an optics cuck, you know? Don't be kneeling at these Black Lives Matter protests when they demand you to stand up and fucking demand what you want. Stop giving into what they want. If it's for the if we both agree on something, yeah, let's do it. If they have legitimate concerns and you change your mind, fine. Look, be human, be smart. But don't just bend the knee and start literally fucking kneeling because somebody told you to denounce your white privilege and you actually are poor and don't have fucking white privilege. Like it's just so frustrating to me that
well,
I've never seen conservatives cuck so hard since like 2016 and I'm seeing it right now.
well, and see, this is something that really pisses me off too, because like, I, I shit you not, I've had to deal with some of this shit now because, like, I'm physically disabled and I'm,
You're correct.
yeah, I'm a crip, uh, and so, like, believe it or not, I've kind of been told that, like, weirdly by, like, these SJW types, like, my crippled disadvantage, or my, they don't use the term crippled, they use, like, my, my differently abled, you know, puts me, like, offsets my white privilege, or it
Oh
did,
god.
or it did up until about, like up until the last, black, and they're like, well, yeah, you may have had to struggle, but you have had to struggle like a black man has in America, and I'm like, well, unless the black man is also physically disabled, then like the black man can at least walk and get like a a sports scholarship if he really wants to. Like that's not like an advantage that I have. So
I just thought of there's Black History Month, there's Pride Month. Is there a disabled history month or a disabled pride month?
no, but in all honest, I don't really care either. Like
It's almost like there's more to you than your disability. There's your
egg
abilities.
You know
exactly.
what's funny though? Black History Month is on the shortest month of the year.
Oh Jesus. That's a good point.
Well, and
They should
that's
have
bullshit. Okay,
well, and
I'm talking.
like what dwarf history month or whatever the politically correct term for midget is.
Vertically
no,
challenged.
no. Dwarf actually is the, well. It might not be politically correct anymore, but that actually was the politically correct term.
See, I bet a Democrat created Black History Month, and yet again a Democrat gave African Americans a short end of the fucking
Well,
stick.
well,
We have
yeah.
to do some homework. We gotta look this up and figure out who did that, and then present it next time.
Did
Yeah,
you
I'm gonna do it right now. We're gonna do live fact checking like
did-
CNN does.
Yes.
Did any of you guys see? I don't know. I don't know what the guy's name is, but Joe Rogan had this black professor on.
I think I saw that too. Yeah, was that the
I
recent one?
I think it was. I think his name was like Daryl Dawkins or something like that. It was Daryl something, but it was this like it was like this big black guy and very articulate. And this Daryl guy that Joe had on, he started out the segment by saying, "I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack by this, but I think we need to get rid of Black History Month." And he says, "Allow me to explain." He says, "I think that Black history needs to be taught year round with all the other history.
Yeah,
All
true.
all we do is teach Black history for 1 month and then of the year, and it's the shortest month of the year. So then, by the time by the time the summer rolls around, kids forget, and then we keep having to repeat the same lessons over and over again until high school when they don't really teach that anymore, and then
Yeah, but it doesn't matter when you don't teach the right shit. I mean, look, we just had to create
well,
a
yeah,
show to write the ship because, like, look how much shit they've missed. The first hour plus, we've just basically fixed most of the history that they're not fucking putting together. Like, it doesn't even like, it's like, oh, let's just teach it all year round, but these teachers clearly aren't fucking doing it.
You know what? I was going to mention earlier. Somebody I had made notes to talk about this. Madam C.J. Walker being a black woman who was a multimillionaire, and if our money translate back then, and she's a black woman, and that was the early 1900s, and that was one of my other things about black people being oppressed. Imagine being her at a time frame where she was at this still became of hair products.
Hmm. I actually fact checked what we were talking about, and the first president to recognize Black History Month was Gerald Ford, who is a Republican. I have mixed feelings because on the one hand I'm like, oh, there you go, Republican that's recognizing African Americans, contrary to what Democrats make you think. But then again, if we're gonna argue we should get rid of Black History Month and just talk about it all the time like we should about all history, then maybe I disagree with Republicans on something.
But what happened? Was there something that happened during that time frame when he decided to recognize it? So I'm like, what was the intention? Because like a new holiday can pop up now because of the George situation. So like, was there something big that happened around that time frame for him to want to make that happen then?
That's true. That's like
Or was
the
there
street
election
sign
year?
change.
I'm gonna call my peace officer about that one.
And
God,
then was
can't
it
believe
election year when he did it?
Mm-hmm.
Shay,
I'm still flipping. I'm still kind of. It just makes me like the peace officer thing. Just makes me kind of laugh a little bit. Imagine a peace officer going to your house like, oh, I'm sorry you got brutally raped and your butthole hurts. Here, let's do some breathing exercises.
Yeah, literally.
They'll
Let's
probably
and then when
have
you're
to
done,
change their certifications for that. They'll probably make it harder to become a peace officer because they'll change the certifications and it'll still be a cop.
and then it'll be like, oh, and then when you're done with your breathing exercises, then we're gonna talk to your rapist, and then we're gonna mediate and see what went wrong and how we can rectify this
wrong?
situation.
well, I mean,
We'll find some common ground.
if you've seen Demolition Man, then also sex isn't going to be allowed pretty soon.
Dude, that's the biggest part that sucks about that world.
They're going to make us use virtual reality because of rape culture and whatnot. I mean,
Well, it's because of diseases.
well, I mean, well,
See, I actually first saw that movie like about less than a year ago. Like, and Sargon did a great video on that movie, by the way, and analyzing it. And I'm watching it, I'm like, even like less than a year ago, I'm like, this is like so over the top. Like it's too silly to actually ever happen. But now I'm like thinking right now, thinking about how Democrats want to defund police officers, and which would inevitably be replaced with something that's like non-violent cops, like peace police. And I'm thinking, Jesus fucking Christ, like this doesn't look silly anymore. This looks like literally America next year
There,
or
there,
next month.
there was some like there was also some like feminist like author or something who wanted to get rid of Playboy and Sports Illustrated swimsuit because of toxic toxic masculinity and rape culture and
Oh
like
God.
yeah
We're
and
not here for your pleasure.
Rape talks is a myth.
we're
God, I
Change my
hate that's
mind.
so.
we're not here for your pleasure, but yeah, look at this 300-pound naked fat chicken. If you don't like her, then you're sexist or something like that. It's like a real double standard. So
Mm-hmm. God, there's two things, like a few things really grind my gears more than this like myth of systematic racism and the myth of rape culture and this toxic masculinity shit. Like I got into so many arguments in this one college class over it, and I'm just like just think like these people are just so fucking insane.
where
Like they're just so lost. I'm like, how do you get these people to ever come back to a normal state of mind, assuming they were ever there?
well
Most
that
of them that say that, most of them that say that, the women that say that shit have never like
Gotten laid.
have been rejected by every fucking
Yeah,
alpha male out there. So they
yeah,
have no idea what having an alpha male even fucking looks like.
yep.
or even not like a super alpha like okay, so I feel like that term alpha male gets like a little bit um
Overused.
overused.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not like a guy who like I'm not a guy who bench presses like 250 or anything like that. I'm an average guy, but I'm not like a beta cock either. I'm just like a
Yeah,
I'm just,
I know
I'm
what you
like
mean.
I'm like a
You're an Omega.
But
yeah
being an
or
alpha is about being a leader and
well
the
Yeah.
pack following you.
It's
well
So it
just
doesn't matter
no,
if you do it with more
it's an
than men.
attitude thing. It's not like actual like what you have
well
via physically it's an attitude. It's a
Right.
fucking it's a
A mindset.
you know what you want. You're gonna do whatever it fucking takes to get what you want, and you don't give a fuck what anybody else says on the way there.
well right but I mean it's just annoying because these radical like third wave feminists like they're so they're so self-destructive and they're so determined to like destroy all men that it's absurd and they do more damage to themselves and to other women than anyone else. So
It helps lower the population too, so it's easy for people to control. You have
mm,
feminine men, they're now mating with each other, and then you have women who are like, I'm independent, I don't need a man, and they're not mating and making babies, and then you have obviously the abortions going on. So that's the way to lower the population and break the family.
I uh I actually remember I was in like a college class a couple of years ago where uh, one of the one of the girls in the class like she had just gotten married or she was engaged and like one of her and like it was like for an English class and like the assignment was basically to like write down what your goals in life were and so this like this young woman in the class like wrote down that like one of her main life goals was to basically like raise a family with her husband, who she had just married. And the professor, like after grading it, like actually read it out loud and scoffed at her
What the fuck?
in the
That's
class
disgusting.
and like, and I told this I told this I told this student, I'm like, you need to go to, I said, you need to go to administration and report this professor. Hey, hey, she's not allowed to do that because of, it's your confidential work. And, and this girl, she was like, oh, it's fine. It's whatever. But I could tell she was embarrassed by it. And like, I would have done it, but I wasn't allowed to since it wasn't my grade, or anything like that. But still, it's like it's disgusting. So
Like, can you imagine, like, literally just sort of scoffing and dissing the most natural and unique and productive and wholesome ability of a female, which is to have a kid, be a mother, raise a family?
I keep thinking of Ashley Judd when she fucking, like, when Donald Trump won the presidency, like there was like a whole bunch of women that like protested or whatever,
I'm a
and she was,
nasty woman.
yeah, that's what, yeah, she was saying that. I was like, I'm not here for your pleasure. Like, yo, this chick was
As
with
Trump wanted her.
yeah, like, well, I mean, this chick was with some F1 driver, Dario Franchitti,
Mm-hmm.
and she didn't want kids because of like the environment or something like that. Like, she didn't want them to witness the climate crisis or whatever.
The fuck?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
So
yeah.
he ended up leaving her ass and having kids with some other chick.
Yeah,
I know
well,
this is off topic, but I've been wanting to say this. I keep forgetting, but like about the opportunity zones.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would also help with the Black community supporting the service and Trump. If it's easier to find the information, and it's like a website you can go to and get all the information and what to do to be able to use these opportunities. Because I looked myself just to see how easy it is to find the information. It's not that easy. I don't think I actually found, like, if I really wanted to get someone to invest in my business, I don't know how to get that information. So I feel like if that was put out there more and it was speeches and conferences and education on how to get these opportunities, I think that would help a ton, a big ton.
That's a good point. Yeah, you gotta make it easily accessible, or else how you gonna find it?
And then make an update. Did the coronavirus and economy affect those opportunity zones?
Yeah. What exactly? I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what an opportunity zone is. Could you explain to me what that is?
So basically, these zones are in areas in the United States where there's been a lack of investments and businesses growing, and they're typically in lower income and minority neighborhoods. So what it is investors get an incentive for investing into the business where they don't have to pay like taxes for like 5 or 10 years, something like that. And then the person who is actually using this to build a business, that is an incentive for them to have the business. So the incentive for the person to invest, the company, or interest to invest in this business because they don't have to pay interest. I'm sorry, taxes, not interest, pay taxes on this money for a long extended period of time. So it's giving an incentive to invest in minority, lower opportunity areas. So that's why there's been some construction companies, like I've seen like people talk about it. I've actually seen, like, I watched the Trump Black Voices stuff, and I've seen where Black people who've used these opportunities have been able to grow their business. They actually were so busy, like they didn't know how to handle it. Like, they've had great stories, but then how did they get there? How did that work? So that needs to be presented more, and it needs to be easy accessible. And like, I haven't hit up Tim Scott, I'm gonna try on Twitter and inbox see if he replies and see if there's a way that he can help with that. And if COVID did mess with the opportunity zones, I know that they don't want to talk about that, but it should be known if that's something we're pushing. Like, hey, this is why Trump should be reelected. Did COVID affect, the opportunity zones?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and props for reaching out to these people because sometimes they
I
don't
haven't yet.
know these things
I
are a
want
problem.
to.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to lie. I haven't yet.
Well, the thought is still, you're. It sounds like you're gonna do it soon, and it's
Mhm.
way better to do, try it, and maybe it doesn't get through than to not do anything at all. Because I mean, Republicans sometimes fall under, I don't want to say like inaction, but like we can talk a good game sometimes, but then not actually do anything. But if you're talking a good game and doing things, it's fantastic, and we all do that here, which is good.
A lot of them don't even know that problems are happening too. So it's like
Yeah,
if
exactly.
they don't know that a problem's happening, it's as if a problem isn't happening at all. Like so, but if but once a problem exists, we're usually pretty good at like taking care of it. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
you got to figure it out first, and
Mhm.
yeah. So
And I actually have an idea. I'm gonna go ahead and say it now before anyone else says this idea. And that's another
Good.
reason why I also care about this opportunity zone so much. There's a big push, school choice, and we want to have more of the technical schools embedded in the high schools, and then have more like 2-year college technical schools. You can use. I'm thinking you can use those opportunity zones to make that happen in those areas.
Well, I will say that I think in regards to technical schools that needs to be something that gets promoted, not just in the black community, but like across the board because like
Yes.
like I don't know about you guys, but like there was like a huge push for all of the students to go to college, and I actually remember like back in high school, like someone actually asked about like trade schools, and like the counselors were like, oh, that's like an okay option, but like all students should really look at college, and then
Yes.
and
Yes.
and then like some of the kids didn't go to college, and they wound up going to trade school, and they just graduated, and they're making like 100 grand already, so a year, so some of them, so
And I don't want to get too personal because, like, my family may not appreciate it, but my
sure.
dad actually was like one of the first, not in Texas, but one of the first schools that's been very successful in Texas, where they have that their own building, but it is the technical school, and it has like welding and robotics, all these cool things in there. And my dad's they actually compete nationwide, and it's been very successful. They have relationships with businesses, they have relationships with universities,
Mm-hmm.
um, and all this. And I'm like, this should be everywhere. And I was kind of jealous. I promise. I'm like, I wish this was available when I was in school.
Yeah.
I'm super jealous. And then these kids coming out of high school already can make like $18-20 an hour. And these companies know that they have practical skills because they've been trained correctly. But like this, my dad's school, they've won numerous awards, top awards in the nation, and from Texas for these kind of schools. So like, I really think that's a big deal, and I want to push it hard. And I think
Yeah.
the opportunity zones could pay for it. And I know it's a nationwide thing. It's not just about the community black thing, but I think it would help the black.
Out of curiosity, because I know in my neighbor, like where I was from, we had a tech school in our area. Are they not as common anymore?
Well, I was in Indiana growing up, so maybe it wasn't that popular then. There was tech schools like for 2-year schools, but like they like hybrid into high school. I had never seen that until my dad. And I think that was like Oh my gosh. That might have been like 10 years ago when they started doing that. They built that beautiful big old building and that was a hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. So I know we had one of those like because I wanted to go there. My parents were like, oh no, don't go over here. It's for dummies, which I think was stupid advice from them. But like, and that's kind of my major problem with those schools is some of them have bad reputations. Like it's for people who can't go to college. I think
Yeah.
that should be fought against because like I have friends who went there and some of them might not be the sharpest tool in the sheds, but other ones are perfectly fine people. And like my one friend, he went for diesel mechanic and he's making pretty much what I was making, and he had no college debt, and he's been working since he graduated high school.
Yeah, they want to hire people who can actually do the job and not just have these papers.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, honestly, it's something Elon Musk talks about. We're gonna have to close out here in a few minutes, but one last thing I want to say is Elon Musk talks about how skills should be treated with more importance rather than your university or if you have a diploma or what you do or don't have. Where you know, and that's why I think really a lot. Like I've noticed this very quickly with college. Like, yeah, you gotta do it to play the game and get that name on your fucking resume, but I would have learned way more if I spent 4 years in the real world. If I spent maybe a year in college, a year doing an internship, and then a year doing a real job and getting into it, I would know so much more than about the actual industry than what I know now. I really know nothing about it. I know more about other things because I've gotten really involved with like politics. I know way more about how to do a radio show because I've done one. I know way more how to put on events because I've done them. I know way more about campaigns because I've done them. And advertising, my major, I know a lot because I don't know. Gotta be careful what I say there. I don't know a lot about the actual industry. I do know a thing or two about marketing because I've done it for other things. Because I actually had to go out and do it myself. But actual traditional advertising in an agency in the industry, I know nothing about it. I haven't been put into it yet. I've just been in the classroom that tells me what it should be like. But we all know that's not what it's like.
Right.
I know we've talked about that before over here too, but like that's my biggest problem with college. They only really show you the theoretical. There's very little practical skills you actually get there, and I think a way to solve that would be to go and have 2 year schools maybe instead, and then like you have 2 year schools maybe like after your first year you have a year long internship, and then your next year in class, and then you have a year long internship. So it could be 4 years, but in those 4 years, you're getting actual like co op experience. Or
Mm-hmm.
bring back apprenticeships. I don't know why apprenticeships went away to begin with, because I think that's a very good way of teaching people valuable skills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And Trump's trying to bring that back. I remember he was pushing for apprenticeships, and I don't know. I forget if he's done something exactly. He's done a lot. I kind of forget, but yeah, I mean,
You,
it's
you know what I
you
found?
totally agree.
You know what I found funny about that too is like Trump actually got like flack from that for the media too. It was like, oh, he they tried to spin it as, oh, Trump's saying that he wants all your kids to go to trade school while his kids want to the Wharton School of Business or whatever. And it's like the Wharton School of Business is not exactly the same as like a college or a university, and it's tough to get into. B,
Yep.
you're making it seem like he was dismissing you, which wasn't the case at all. He was praising technical colleges as like an opportunity for students. So
Mm-hmm. Trying to expand choice, freedom, and take advantage of other things we have competition. Like again, college isn't for everyone, but neither are trade schools. It's different strokes for different folks. College works for a lot of things. Trade schools work for a lot of things. It's more about efficiency. Like if you want to be a mechanic, don't go to college. If you want to do plumbing, don't go to college. I mean, it's just unfortunately college can be a sort of barrier to entry for a lot of things that you want to get into, like medical, engineering, law. You gotta go to college. I mean, even advertising. Something you shouldn't need to go to college for. I haven't found a single ad job offering that says no college experience or college degree required. They all ask for it.
Yeah, same with like technical writing or whatever. So and like even with
Yeah.
social media. So
Yeah. So since we're hitting 2:30, we're gonna close her out tonight. So everybody's got anything they want to say? Any last words? Say it now. Plug your social media selflessly, and we'll close it out for tonight.
I have something to say. I want to close it out.
Sure.
I want to make sure everyone remembers that Epstein didn't kill himself and Harvey Weinstein did not have COVID-19.
There we go.
do-
And where do we
and
follow you on Twitter at?
The Don. Oh wait, the _Don04.
Gotcha.
hey, hold on.
You want to say something?
Hold on. I'm following you right now, Donnie, as we speak because I don't think I do. Um, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at somebody_NDC. If you are on Gab or Parler, you can follow me at Sam Whitfield, and of course, please subscribe to the Whitfield Report on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. And yeah, that's the best way you can help promote. And if you would like to contribute, like any money, you don't have to, but it's greatly appreciated. Streamlabs.com/the Whitfield Report. So yeah, just thanks for having me on again, guys, and always happy to simulcast with you guys. So
Yeah, love it.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Of course, anytime. Alex or Phil, you want to say anything?
No. Take it easy, folks.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for tuning in to another Versa show here. This was Versa special. Like, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff. Follow us on Twitter at Versa News Media and Facebook. And we'll keep you up to date on everything we're doing, any new streams as the chaos continues and the American cities burn across the nation. Hopefully there's a light at the end of this tunnel, and hopefully things get better. They always do, but it's only a matter of time. But we'll stick with it through all of that. Thank everybody for tuning in, and as always, wash your bloody hands.